Good evening, it's Thursday. Welcome along to Inside The Hive. Got a great show on the way for you this evening. We're going to be taking a look back at the action from the weekend. Of course, the Golden Girls were in action against the London City Lionesses. We're going to be hearing some of the players from that match. We've got another 60-second challenge on the way. We're going to look forward to the ePremier League finals, which are happening this weekend. Alex and Tom representing Watford in that one. Plus, we'll look forward to the games that are on the way after the international break. As always, we want to hear from you. Be part of the show. If you're watching on YouTube, put your comment in the section below. Of course, on Twitter as well, at Watford FC. Use that hashtag of Inside The Hive. Now, who are you going to be asking your questions to this evening? Well, first of all, there's one man that we can't do the show without. The legend is Mr. Tommy Mooney. Tommy, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Good evening.
I don't know where to start tonight, whether I ask you about golf or DIY, because you got the professionals in, so that means potentially more time for golf.
Well, I cancelled golf last week just so I could have a go on the digger.
Yes, how was the digger?
The digger was very, very good. I mean, I didn't know that health and safety, you can't go on there with flip-flops on. And it was quite sunny. So I got on the digger in the end. And then no golf. I've even turned down a game at the Centurion today with friend of the show, Andy Showbiz.
Wow.
I've not played for 5 weeks. I'm not ready to play against him and his mate Matt because they play for good dough.
Play for money.
So I'm 5 weeks out. There's no way he'd be holding me to my handicap, and there's no way I'm playing to that. So I couldn't play today.
A bit of a break, maybe next week. So Tommy's with us, and we're also joined by another Watford legend as well. He's managed the side in the past, and he's back as the assistant, of course, to Roy Hodgson. It's a very warm hi Inside the Hive welcome to Ray Lewington. Ray, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
Pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Thank you so much for giving up your evening to come and chat
problem.
with us. First of all, let's just get your assessment of how your time's going so far with obviously yourself and Roy at the helm.
Well, it's a tough one because we're racing against time. That's the problem. Time is the big problem. But we've been really encouraged with the boys' attitude. The one thing we've got to do is try and instill a team with the good individuals that we got. We've got to try and mould them into a team, and we've got to do it very quickly. But it was very encouraging the last game against Southampton when we actually looked, probably for the first time since we've been here, a real good unit, and thought we played well and really deserved a win against a side who I think are a good Premiership side now. So yeah, there's some signs.
Obviously, it's international break, and obviously having that game because of the FA Cup with Everton's rearranged fixture as well. I guess it's kind of a bit of a good time, bad time. How do you view that from a coaching perspective, having obviously international players, who I think it's about 12 away, isn't there?
Yeah.
Plus you've just had that good win, so I bet it's a bit of, you want to get on to the next game, but you've got this weight that you've got to deal with.
Yeah, we've got a lot of players that we would have liked to have done some work with over the next couple of weeks away. But it does give us time to work with the boys that have not played and obviously need some fitness work and perhaps a little bit of team play so that they can slot in when needed. So it won't go to waste, but obviously we would have liked the players who were away back here doing it, but that's the nature of it, so we just get on with it.
Obviously, Tommy, you've watched all of the games this season. Obviously, you've watched especially the last few that Roy and Ray have been in charge for, especially that Southampton game as well. We started to see what Roy and Ray want to do with this team, and you were really impressed with that last game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on last week's show. It's just that structure and strategy that comes from perhaps a defensive line where we haven't been the most sound for a long part of the season. But then when you work from that structure, you trust your forward players to then go and create opportunities to score goals. And against Southampton, Cucho certainly took his chances well. So, you know, when Ray says you work so hard through the week at the training ground, Ray, don't you? It's when you get that win on a Saturday or a Sunday, as it was with Southampton, that's your reward.
Oh, it's a great reward, and for us, but it's even more reward for the players who can actually see some points for all the hard work they're putting in. The worst thing is when they do really well and then they come off and they lose. So it was great to see the players rewarded for doing all the stuff that we've been doing on the training ground. And they saw that if they can do it and apply to it and get a little bit of luck that you need, then that can turn into points. And, you know, I thought there were some good signs.
No, massively. let's talk a bit about how it all happened, you coming back. Obviously, we had Roy on the show when he first got announced that you were coming to join us. Obviously, all came as a phone call, and he told us he gave you a call. So let's get your side to it. All of a sudden, Roy's got a phone call. He wants you to come with him.
Yeah, I had a call in the afternoon. He gave me a long time to think about it. He basically gave me half hour to go downstairs, talk to my wife, and see what she thought. My wife was there and my eldest son was there, and I went down. I said, "You're not going to believe this, but Roy wants us to go to Watford." The two of them said, "Go. What you're thinking about? Go." But I actually was enjoying retirement. You know, I was being able to watch my two boys play, which I have. You know, I've missed doing that, and I was really enjoying it. But I don't know if it's that he said, "Come on, let's go and talk to him," and we got to the training ground by 5:30, and the rest is history.
I think Roy used the terminology that the mermaid siren's call of that lure of coming back to football, and obviously you can see how much he loves it. And from seeing you on the touchline and watching training, you clearly got a massive passion from it. Did you have an itch to want to get back, or were you quite happy once you'd finished at Palace that was it?
Yeah, no. To be honest, I thought I'd finished. I was enjoying retirement. I was enjoying watching my boys play. And my grandson on a Sunday morning. That's all gone out the window again as well, because we're in after every game. So all that went. But I must admit, I'm glad I made that decision. We're really enjoying it. It's a real tough one. We know that, but we've got our teeth into it, and because we've seen a few signs that maybe there is a chance. Then we're going to carry on.
Obviously, it's a short period of time that you've kind of got to work with. Have you been impressed and happy with how quickly the players have responded to what the messages you've wanted to try and get across? Yep,
the stats have been good in terms of fitness and the running they're doing during games. So that's number one. But the things that we're seeing, what we've got to try and be is, when we defend, everyone defends, and when we attack, we want everyone playing their part. No one goes to sleep. No one switches off. Everyone. So we're doing it now. The examples are all there. Go and look at Man City. We've told them, watch Man City, watch Liverpool, watch Chelsea. They all defend together. They all attack together. Some of their Chelsea's most attacking players are their wing backs getting forward in the box regularly. Liverpool, Salah running back, doing his defensive side. Everyone thinks that all this just drops on their lap because they're good players. They don't. They work for it, and we've got to start getting that mentality that. If you're a forward, that doesn't mean that you don't do any defensive work, because you do. And if you don't do it, and you just leave it to the other 9, we're going to get beat. So everyone's got to play their part on both sides of the game. And I felt against Southampton was the first time that we actually got that. And I was really encouraged by it. But the proof will be, can we carry it on into the next game?
Do you think, Ray, that when you say that about the forwards have a defensive structure, and an obligation as well to the rest of the team, do you think that's got harder over the years as you've coached different players? My time under Graham Taylor, I knew my role defensively was more strategic than the attacking side of the game, but I knew that, and I understood it and wanted to do that defensive side. Do you think forwards in particular have changed in the modern game?
I think they've had to. I think that particularly the examples I've just given is that you look at the best teams in the country and the best club sides in the world, they're all doing it. They're front players. Barcelona started it, actually. Barcelona, they were getting little Iniesta, 5'0", closing down and tackling. Not really tackling, but stopping the players playing forward. You've got a world-class player who's doing the dirty side of the game, which never used to happen. I mean, forwards had this thing that give me the ball and I'll do the rest. But now you can't do it. And if you don't do it, then you're just going to you'll get blown away. If not everyone's doing it. You can't defend with just your back four and maybe a couple of midfield players, because you get overrun. Okay, and you've got to attack with your fullbacks and maybe midfield players getting in amongst them, getting in the box and doing all that legwork. And if you don't do it, you're not going to be successful. But as I say, it doesn't come overnight. If they haven't been doing it, it doesn't come overnight. It sounds easy, but it's not. We're talking about reactions now, split-second reactions that they got to do straight away, otherwise it doesn't work. and if we can get that and instill that into them, we'll be a far better side.
Do you think the players enjoy that structure on the training ground?
They seem to, Tom. We've virtually given them a list. We don't write it down, but we say, like, when the ball's in that area, this is where you should be. And we use the video to back that up, and the training ground, we set it out for them. So they know that when the ball is any situation on the pitch, where they should be. But it takes time because they forget. I mean, it sounds stupid, but they do forget. And sometimes the worst one, of course, are the forwards, because they have, particularly the wide ones, because you're getting overlapping fullbacks.
I'm glad you said that, Ray.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm in the strikers union. I'm glad you said the wide players are the worst.
They've got to do their job. They've got to do their job. Otherwise, we're playing 10v8. So they've all got to do it. But as I say, they all mixed in the other day, and I thought it was really good at Southampton.
Yeah, well, the performance, and certainly the scoreline, and we said,
Yeah.
Creating opportunities. Yes, Southampton gifted a couple,
Yeah.
but we created opportunities from that away performance.
Absolutely. But a good thing, Tom, was that the first goal, it was a gift, but it was a gift because we pressurised them. Now, we hadn't done that before. They didn't think it was their job to go and close down centre-backs. So the ball's gone wide, we've pressurised, they've played it back, we've pressurised, and he's made a mistake. He's underhit it because he can see a yellow shirt in his corner of his eye, and he hasn't looked at the ball. He's worried about the attacker, and he underhits it, and he gets in and scores a goal. So even though they've gifted it, it was gifted because we did the legwork and we pushed them. If you don't close them down, they know they've got all the time in the world, and they just lift their head, and they've all got good techniques. But you put them under pressure, and suddenly some of their techniques are not quite as good as everyone thinks they are, and you get a goal out of it. So I think because they were rewarded for it, I think they're quite happy to do that again.
Yeah.
In their minds, they're quite happy to do it because they've seen the result of what can happen.
And it's also, we talk about it a lot in most weeks on the show, is that it's that feeling of the winning dressing room, isn't it?
There's nothing better, is there? You go in and the week's work. If you've lost it, it really is the worst feeling in the world. But when it all comes together and you win. And probably, if everyone's truthful, they never expected it. Yeah. And we go and beat a good side like Southampton, who are really solid, who actually are a really hard-working, pressing side themselves. And we've really matched them with the pressing, and we've actually been the better side. We've certainly created more chances than them. So that was the pleasing team, that we've beaten a real good, solid Premiership side, and we've beaten them at their own game, which was great.
Let's talk about your relationship with Roy. Obviously, coaching together, England, we could look at your stats here, kind of working together with Fulham, with England, with Palace, and obviously now here at Watford. What's been the secret to your working relationship? Because you've, career-wise together, you've pulled off some good results and some good performances with all of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship is built on trust and honesty, I think. I think that, if he asks me a question, I tell him honestly. I think it helps that I've been a manager, so I know what Roy would expect. What managers don't need is nodding dogs. They don't need people that just agree with them, because they'll make the job worse. You need someone who is going to tell you that he doesn't agree with you, but he's not going to be, well, listen, I'm right and you're wrong. So demand, because managers don't like that either. But they like someone who says, well, I know what you're saying, but I would do it this way personally. But if Roy goes home, thinks about it, and comes back and says, no, I've decided I'm going to go with the way I thought, fine. Then you back off, and now everyone gets behind him, and we do the way he wants to do it. So that's fine. Now we've got to a stage now where, our comments about the team are so. If people saw them, they'd think it's just so laid back and everything. But we don't need to, cross-examine each other and do that. We know that when we say something, we've thought it through, and this is what we're thinking.
Let's touch on your England time together. So obviously working for your nation is something quite special, and obviously lots of fond memories for you.
Apart from the last match we took charge of, No, it was a great honour. It was absolutely fantastic, and the only time really, you know, as I've got older, you'd still get nerves before a game, but when you're coaching, you don't tend to get nerves. I remember the first session that I actually took on Man City's main ground with the England squad there, and I don't care who you are, it's slightly intimidating when you look at all the faces there, and Stevie G and Frank and all them are there, and you got to go out and coach them. But as soon as you get started, you're fine, you know, away you go. But it was quite nerve-wracking, but they were fantastic. And I'll tell you what, someone did tell me before the job, he said, you'll find that the real superstars, the ones that you're probably a little bit nervous about instructing, they're the best ones. And they were. Frank and Stevie G and Rooney, they were terrific, you know, they were really good. So it was a really enjoyable 4 years. As I say, the last game was a disaster, absolute disaster, and will stay with me forever, and I'll get reminded about it quite often, as you would think. But no, apart from that, it was a brilliant experience.
Yeah, massively. Tremendous honour as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're going to chat a little bit later on in the show about your time managing Watford.
Yep.
But obviously, when that phone call came up and you were told it was Watford, fond memories of this club? It's got a special place for you?
Yeah, it was good. The supporters were great with me, which is always nice. If you're going out there and they're booing and everything, I never really got too many boos apart from the odd bad performance when I deserved to get booed. But no, it was really good, and the players at that time really good, and we had some good characters like Coxey and Daishi and people like that. They were good characters. So it was a good experience. Yeah, I really did enjoy it.
And the fact that it's inside the M25.
Well, that did help.
Further north,
that did help. Yeah.
That's true. Right, we'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the show. Of course, don't forget to keep your questions coming in. We are live, of course, here at Vicarage Road every Thursday night, so you can submit those questions on YouTube, comment section below, on Twitter at Watford FC, and make sure you tag us in as well. Use the hashtag of Inside The Hive. So as we mentioned, it's been a busy 10 days or so, and obviously as the international break continues, but there's lots of great news coming out of the club all the time, including the news that a new contract has been signed by a player who made his debut a little bit earlier on in the season. He signed a 2-year deal. So let's hear now from James Morris.
James, congratulations. How does it feel to sign a new Watford contract?
Yeah, obviously it's a great pleasure. As soon as I came to the club, it was obviously my new target to try and achieve a new contract, and I've been fortunate enough to do that with the help of everyone at the club, all the coaches and all the players. So it's obviously a really proud moment for me and my family, and I'm just looking forward to getting started and going again now.
You've been at Watford since the start of this season after a long time at Southampton. How easy was it to settle in and make the change to Watford?
Yeah, so I was there for 10 years, so it was obviously my first taste of different clubs, so I didn't really know what to expect coming in. But literally from the first day I got here, I was welcomed in by everyone. Rich Johnson and Jimmy welcomed me in, showed me around, and then as soon as I got to meet all the players, and then Omar and Shoz, they were just really welcoming. I just felt at home straight away, and I think that's what helped me settle in so quickly.
And what was it like at first getting involved with the first team and being involved in the matchday squads? How was that for you?
Well, it came as a bit of a shock. Obviously, I was still on trial, and then played in the West Brom game, came on after 5 minutes. So that was a bit of a shock, but I think it was almost a good thing because it didn't give me time to overthink anything. When I came in, I wasn't really expecting to be involved in the first team straight away, so that was just an added bonus, really.
And then making your first team debut against Leicester in the FA Cup, what was going through your mind at that point? What sort of feelings did you have at that point?
It was obviously a very proud day for me and my family, because it's sort of the sport that I've been working for like the last 10 years. I think going into the game, when I stood in the tunnel, there was like some nerves, but then as soon as the whistle went, and you just sort of forget about all the nerves and you can just start playing.
And you've continued your development with the under-23s as well, captained them on a few occasions. What's it been like for you playing alongside that group and working with Omar?
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it this season. I feel like it's probably the best football I've been playing this season. Like the coaches have given me a lot of advice, and they just give me a lot of confidence as well, which I feel like is a big thing. Without confidence, it's sometimes your performances aren't as good, but I just feel really settled here, and I just really enjoyed the whole season.
And what are your targets now moving forward? You've got this new contract, have you got targets for the rest of this season and for the seasons going forward?
I think probably now to the end of the season is just try and be involved with the first team as much as possible, and then next season come in pre-season, have a good pre-season, and then hopefully get involved with some games next season in the first team, which is the main priority really.
Of course, James joining Watford in the summer after spending 10 years at Southampton, and Tommy's made a bit of an impression so far. You obviously saw his debut at Leicester.
Yeah, he certainly has, and he says himself there that he wasn't expecting to be in and around the first team, but he was around it for a couple of games and then played ever so well at Leicester. And you can see he's integrated into the training ground really well, and coming in on trial as well always helps, because that's a test. It's a mental test for any player of any age going in on trial and being released from Southampton at after such a long period of time as well. And I think that's always a good indication of what type of player they are, but also what type of human being they are. If they're willing to do that, a lot of players say, "Well, I'm not going to do a trial." They don't last very long in the game when they have that mentality. But James has come in and done very well.
Doesn't. And Ray, obviously for you, in your time as manager here, you brought through a few big young players that of course have gone on to have their careers. Have you had a chance to see much of James yet? Yeah,
funny enough, I mean, he trained today with us, and he's trained on about 4 occasions, and I would agree everything that Tom says about the boy's character. It's some of them give up, but he's come in, he's got a lot of things going for him. He's a good size, got a lovely left foot, defends. I like him. I think he's done really well.
Well, massive congratulations to James there. 2-year contract extension for him as well for his time here at the club. Okay, time now then to turn our attention to the action at the weekend. Of course, the men's team are on international break, but the women's team are still in action. They played the London City Lionesses, and it was great to see a massive crowd here at Vicarage Road for that one. So before we hear from some of the players, let's look back at some of the highlights.
London City, you feel, would fancy themselves today up against the Watford side that have won once in the league all season. Might just break in the box here. And Hopcroft is in there and she gets a strike away, and it's kept out by Georgie Ferguson. And Harley Bennett, this time it's left to right. Having plenty of time on the ball. Katie Kitching puts it in, and Lily Agg with the header, but it was straight at Ferguson. Feels pretty much like one-way traffic right now. Fleming under pressure, gives it to Brooke Nunn. Cross comes in. Here's Napier. Centres it once more, the header high. A bit of a scramble here. Now Hopcroft with the effort, but Ferguson more than a match to it. City have certainly had the better moments, have looked more likely to score in this game, but they haven't found a way through, and they could be in trouble here. Fatuka Dada, was that a foul perhaps? She carries on, must be a goal, and Chiara Miola gives Watford the lead on the hour mark. How about this?
Well, great to get 3 points under the belt for the women's team there, and a record crowd for them as well. So a massive thank you to every single one of you who come down to support the team. Of course, the difference between the two sides was Chiara Miola, and here's her thoughts at full time.
Victory at the Vic, just try and put into words how much that result means.
It means everything to us. We work in training so hard, so finally the togetherness of the team and finally get a victory at the Vic. You can't really write the story, can you?
It's a much needed result. How did you rate the team performance as a whole?
Well, right now we're all really well together, so we put in a great shift and we actually deserve the 3 points. We work hard on and off the pitch, so yeah, we deserve it thoroughly.
In recent weeks, the performances have been there, but not the results. How much of a boost is it to finally get that win?
Oh, massive. We're going to next week buzzing again that we know we can get 3 points. So Sunderland next week, work hard, train hard, and when we perform next week, hopefully we can get another 3 points.
Your first goal for the club, it couldn't have come at a much better time, could it?
No, not at all, especially at the Vic. You can't really write the stuff, so I'm appreciative of the whole club. The venue's amazing, so there's no better scoring your debut at the Vic.
Just going to go through the goal again. It was a good way to break the deadlock. Some fine work from Addie, and then you've done the rest, making no mistake.
Give all credits to Addie. Her assist was amazing, just had to tap it in the goal. So yeah, shout out Ads, great assist.
Is this result exactly now what you need to start pushing on for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, of course. Like you said before, we had all the performances, just not the results. So as finally we deserve to get a result. So hopefully we can keep building that in the next couple of weeks we have left of the season and get some more points on the table.
Finally, a quick word on the supporters today. So many in attendance.
Yeah.
Was it a boost to see so many here, and did they drive you on?
Yeah, of course. They were like our 12th man today. So we heard them, we appreciate them, and obviously everyone that came, we're very grateful for your support. So thank you for coming.
Head of that game, of course, as well. A couple of new signings joining the Golden Girls, Andrea Giorgio and Gemma Davison, and they spoke to us ahead of the game.
Welcome to Watford, Dre. How pleased are you to have joined the Golden Girls?
I'm buzzing to finally be here and for paperwork to go through. I just can't wait to get started now on Sunday.
Having played with other clubs at this level before, what was it that enticed you to make the move?
This has always been a club close to home. I've never actually played for Watford before, so I mean the facilities are great, the girls here are great as well, so like I said, just can't wait to get started on Sunday now.
Sort of touched upon it a bit there. What have you made of the setup here, and do you feel it's a club that's moving in the right direction?
Yeah, for sure. Everyone that's played here will agree with this, but the facilities here are great. They get treated really well, and that's what the women's game needs now, so they're heading in the right direction.
You've played with a number of the squad before. Does that help with the settling in process?
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of friends here. I've played with many at loads of different clubs, so it's always nice coming in and knowing people, so it's been easy for me to get going with the girls, and they've been great, so I thank them for being so welcoming to me, and yeah.
At 25 years old, you've still got plenty of years left in the game. Do you feel you can make a real impact here at Watford?
Yeah, well, with the young girls coming in now, I feel old, but yeah, I've got many years to come. But yeah, it's been great since coming in, so yeah, hopefully a few more years in my locker.
From what you've seen in the group so far, how confident are you that the group has the ability to get some real positive results in those final 5 matches?
I have no doubt that they're going to pick up points along the way, and hopefully I'm going to be a big involvement in that. So yeah, well, hopefully we pick up many, so we're not even thinking about what's going on below us.
Welcome to Watford, Gemma. Are you looking forward to getting started with the Golden Girls?
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's obviously where I started as a youth player, so let's see what the journey brings.
You mentioned the youth stuff here. What else was it that persuaded you to join Watford?
I think I'm at a point in my career now where I just want to enjoy football now. Watford's obviously close by as well, and I know a few of the girls in there, so it'd be good to see what I can do.
I just want to touch a little bit more on your previous spell at the club back when you were a teenager. Does that make it a little bit extra special to be at Watford now?
Yeah, I've had some great memories of being with Watford, and we were always dominant when I was younger. So hopefully I can bring that dominance back to the club.
Your previous successes in the women's game are well known. Do you think they'll put you in good stead for the challenges ahead here? Yeah,
I think I'm really grateful for my career. I'd like to think I've had a pretty good one, and I think the experience that I can bring to a club now is priceless, to be honest.
You're coming into a team that has been performing well but not getting the results lately. What do you feel you can bring to help change that?
Obviously experience. I think as a kind of older player now, I think I can come and bring help and learning to younger players, which I quite enjoy. I think I'm a good teammate to be around. I'm more than happy to obviously help people out, help the development, and obviously still develop as a player myself.
Having had some WSL football under your belt earlier in this season, does that mean you're in good shape to make an impact straight away?
Yeah, I'd like to think I could make an impact straight away. Obviously I haven't played many games, so I think I'm going to have to work hard to get up to speed. But yeah, I definitely think I can bring positivity to the group.
What a great weekend last weekend for the Golden Girls. So best of luck to them for the rest of the season. Okay, time now for another 60-second challenge. Tommy is clinging on to his joint 5th place. And as every week that goes by, Tommy's hopeful that the contestant isn't going to have a good performance. But how are they going to get on today? This week it is the turn of Alex Shaw, who's one of our ePremier League competitors.
Hi, my name's Alex Shaw, known as Shawry, and this is my 60-second challenge.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
Most famous person on your phone?
Spencer Owen.
Team you supported as a kid?
Liverpool.
Childhood hero?
Steven Gerrard.
Football manager or FIFA?
FIFA.
Favourite sport other than football?
Tennis.
Favourite holiday destination?
The Maldives.
VAR, love it or hate it?
Hate it.
30-yard screamer or solo goal?
Solo goal.
Morning person or night owl?
Night out.
Coaching or pundit when you retire?
Pundit.
Ronaldo or Messi?
Messi.
First car you owned?
Ford Fiesta.
Best stadium apart from Vicarage Road?
Anfield.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Favourite TV series?
Breaking Bad.
Favourite food?
Spag ball.
Best dish you can cook?
Spag ball. Oh, that's well funny. I just didn't know the question was going to be like that. I thought it was going to be like...
No, I didn't tell you.
Yeah. I was thinking 17 in 60 seconds. I was like, it can't be hard questions. Like...
Tommy is still clinging on, but as we know with this game, don't think about the answer. Just say the first thing that comes to your head, even if that word is love, actually. Tommy, you survived for another week in the top 5.
Top 5? That gets me in the playoffs, Ray.
I think he thinks there's some kind of prize. There really isn't any kind of prize, Tommy.
There's no Wembley appearance.
I don't think so. Don't think you get to the playoff final. But it's time now, though, for you to get yourselves involved, Tommy, as always. Ray, hopefully you're going to enjoy this one. We basically play a game where I ask Tommy ridiculously difficult questions, and then later on in the show, I'm going to ask you questions about yourself.
Okay.
So it's relatively quite easy. I like this first question today. I was proud of myself when I found this.
That suggests already to me that I'm not going to like it.
As you know, if you watch regularly, it's normally golf or recently DIY. We're back to golf because the DIY scene, apart from riding the dig, has gone a bit quiet for Tommy at the minute. So, your question is this, Tommy, to kick things off. Most golf balls have between 300 and 500 dimples.
Do you see what I mean, Ray? Every week I have to do this. But at 700 games, this is where I was.
But I would like to know, what is the average depth of a golf ball dimple?
What would you like? What measurement would you like that in?
I'm going to give you some options. It's in inches. Is it 0.010, 0.020 or 0.030 inches?
It's 20.
It's not. It's 0.01 inches on a golf ball. The average depth.
Not on a Callaway. It's not.
Well, that's why I use the word average. Okay, no points on that one. But don't panic. There's still a chance. Next question. Obviously, a few weeks back we had Roy on the show. At what age did he say that he first met Ray?
I mean, that's harder than the golf ball question. That is. First met ever.
Yeah. Come on. This was an interesting revelation on the show. We talked about this.
Yeah, but I've been decorating and
You've been
on a digger since then. 15.
14. It was playing under 15s football. We come to watch you play. It was close though.
That's where I got confused, under 15s football.
It was close. If I'd asked that question, you'd been all right.
I got it.
Still no points on the board. Next question. In 3 seasons, how many cup semi-finals did Ray lead the Hornets to?
Any cup semi-finals?
Yeah. Correct. Well done.
Thank you.
Next question. How many spells did Ray have at Fulham as a player and player manager?
3.
Ray?
2.
2. Correct. 3 spells, but as
Third
a player
one was
or
as a
player
coach.
manager. 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4. We saved the 5th question for a little bit later on as a bit of a tiebreaker.
Right.
But
don't think we'll
the
need
bar's
a
been-
tiebreaker.
I don't think we'll need a tiebreaker.
Don't worry about that.
But it is a good tiebreaker, so we'll mostly ask it anyway on the show. But of course, now's the important part of the show where you ask your questions. These are the proper ones. These are the important ones. So we'll start off with the first one. Comes from Rob Payne. It's not a question. Okay, there are some questions, but I just want to say how happy I am that Ray is back at the club. What he did in his spell as manager should not be forgotten. A great man, a great coach. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
So thanks for that, Robert. Love comments, lovely comments. Oliver Worthy next. This is a question. What has changed around the club since your first managerial role at Watford?
Oh wow, the facilities at the training ground are completely changed. They're magnificent, actually. I mean, compared to my previous club, Crystal Palace, I mean the size of it now, the quality of the pitches, the quality of the dressing room areas, the analysis rooms, etc., everything is on a really good scale. I mean, off the pitch, it's It's really good. It really, really is good. So that's the main difference. That's the main difference.
Tommy, did you notice lots of changes as well? Obviously, when you've come back and doing all the media bits and pieces now, see the stadium's had a lot of changes as well.
Yeah, the stadium has massive change. Ironically, walking through it in lockdown when it's empty, you probably see more of the changes from the time when I was playing for the club. But yeah, the training ground, definitely. We just moved into it when I left in 2001. So it's vastly different. But the game's moved on an awful lot, as you know, Ray.
Absolutely.
There's so much more involved, and a training ground now isn't just one grass pitch and one dining hall. And the football club has moved, as so many of the clubs have.
Yeah, massively. Next question comes from Charlotte Gibson. Charlotte would like to know, what were your standout memories from your first spell at the club? She says that my personal highlights were the FA Cup quarter-final against Burnley and the League Cup semi-final against Liverpool.
Yeah, I loved the quarter-final. The quarter-final was brilliant because I think we were neck and neck in the league table with Burnley, and I think what swung it was the home draw. You know, if we'd been drawn away, it would have been that much more difficult. But the day was fantastic, and I thought we played quite well actually after a nervous beginning. That certainly sticks out. I think the semi-final was, I think I did muck up a little bit in the second leg. I tried to play too cagey. I've just felt that if Liverpool scored early, then the ties finished, having won 1-0. At Anfield, Liverpool won 1-0, where we deserved to win that game. We really did deserve to win that game. But I thought I played it a bit cagey, and then Stevie G scored again, make it 2-0, and then it was a tough ending. But I think I would go with the quarter-final. That was the best one.
Nice. Next question comes from Amanda. Amanda says, your original Watford experience must have been extremely challenging. How well did that prepare you for your future coaching career and roles?
It was great grounding. I'd had a similar experience at Fulham. It was sort of following me around a little bit. Where at Fulham, we had a company in who were actually trying to get rid of the ground and merge us with QPR. So that was a really tough time. And then, of course, when we come here, the money problems and everything else with the bank meant that, you know, if we had any bid for any player, they were out. We were trying to get rid of everyone, really, cut the wage bill down, I think, by about 11-12 million, you know, for about 70-80%. So they were really tough times, but you come through them, you know, you get through them, and it makes you stronger, certainly makes you stronger, and it makes you prepared for whatever throws at you in the future, you know. So yeah, although it was tough, it was really enjoyable.
Is that same for you as a player, Tommy, when you've had maybe spells in your career where you've found it either personally tough or a club scenario has made it tough? It made you stronger as a player?
Yeah, I think you learn more from the tough times than you do, because when things are good, it's like a roller coaster that you can't get off and you don't want to get off, so it just happens. But when things are tough, you think about things more, and you certainly look more inside yourself. What can I do better to help me and help the team? And I think during those tough spells, certainly from a striker, I always reflect on the times where I wasn't scoring goals.
Yeah.
What would I do differently? Could I do this? Could I try that? Whereas when you're scoring every week, you don't need to think about it, because your confidence is sky high. So those times where you're tested really is where your true character comes through for me.
Great question, thank you for that, Amanda. Next one comes from Rudy Clark Johnson. Who is the best player you've ever coached?
Best player? I think I'd have to say Steve Gerrard. I think he was the outstanding player at my time at England.
Did you forgive him for scoring in the cup?
Yeah, basically. Well, he scored the goal that took us to the World Cup, so I mean that was a good, that was a good swap.
What was it about him that you liked from a coach's perspective?
I just didn't realise how good he was. I mean, seeing him in training, he was unbelievable. He could hit the hardest ball I've ever seen. I mean, his shot was phenomenal, but he had actually everything that you would want. I mean, he could run, he was quite quick, he had a lovely touch, he could tackle, he could get forward, get in the box, score goals. He just seemed to be able to do anything with ease, you know, nothing was too much for him. And on top of that, an unbelievably good pro, and on top of that, for Roy and I at the time when he was skipper. He was a really good skipper who I think played his part in dealing with the squad as much as we did, you know. So yeah, I think he's probably the best player.
You alluded a little bit earlier on that when you were kind of going into that first session and you stood on that pitch and you're a little bit kind of, wow, look at this moment. How do you approach coaching players like that, of that ilk, differently as a coach, or do you kind of go into it with the same ethos and same method?
No, you do exactly the same, but the one thing you do notice straight away is that the quality is there straight away. You don't have to keep working on it. You know, if you're doing some attacking play, it's really top quality stuff. You know, it's it's noticeable from our point of view that whatever you put on, whatever you throw at them, they seem to be able to do. You know, particularly the top players like Steve. So no, it was. It makes coaching easier when you've got good players who can do virtually anything with the ball. It actually makes coaching easier.
Final question comes from Sarah, who says, how much input do you have into team selection, or is it all 100% Roy's decision?
Well, the bottom line is Roy picks the team, but getting to the team, he may decide to have one or two queries about players, and he always asks what I think. But no, at the end of the day, it's Roy's decision. And once Roy has said, no, I'm going with this, then we all get behind him. So yeah, Roy 100% picks the team.
Nice. Thank you very much for all your questions. Keep those coming in. You know how to do it by now. Comment section below on YouTube, and of course, if you're on Twitter at Watford FC, and use the hashtag of Inside The Hive. Now, a little bit earlier on in the show, Alex Shaw, or Shawry to his friends, took on the 60-second challenge. He is going to be representing Watford in the ePremier League finals, along with Alex. And here is a bit more about what they're getting up to.
So we all know that footballers have like pre-match rituals. They might put their left sock on first, or something like that. Do you guys have any pre-match, pre-tournament rituals? Anything you do every time to make sure you're successful almost?
Rituals I've got is that like I would listen to music during a game, and like sometimes I'll listen to the exact same track. Like it might be like an instrumental song, like it's not a song with lyrics, it's literally just an instrumental track that I don't really find boring or something like that. Same as like, I don't know, I always wear like my favourite hoodie before I play as well. Like that's always just a good luck thing, which I don't know why I stick with still, because like on days where it goes bad, I still then do it next time even. But yeah. That is something I do. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, to me, it's not so much a routine, but I just like to do the same thing in terms of getting in early, getting the hands nice and warm, and just chilling out. I'm not getting too like into it.
You both listen to music, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of makes you a bit calmer and brings that kind of...
Yeah, I think...
It's definitely like an interesting thing, because there's not many esports where you'd say that like listening to music, you know, like Call of Duty, for example, like you can't sit and listen to music during a game, but obviously, I mean, to be fair, we can never really do it in 2v2 as much, like especially when you're trying to talk on the headset, but in 1v1, like you just want to get in a zone with music, like it's actually quite common in FIFA, to be fair.
Yeah. Do you prefer playing with each other, or do you prefer 1v1? Like what's your kind of...
I like the mix. I like the dynamic of sometimes having the 1v1s. I like kind of when they do a 1v1, then a 2v2, because I do enjoy both aspects, but I think sometimes when you're playing by yourself, you don't feel like you're going to let your teammate down, and that can be more like stress-free. So,
yeah, I mean, just like more on that, like it's like losing as a team hurts more, because you feel like you don't, like if you've played bad, you don't think you've let someone down. But then the same way that if you win together, it's like a boosted feeling, because you didn't just win yourself, you won with someone. Whereas like when you win 1v1, don't get me wrong, it's still absolutely great, but like you knew that was like it was you that played good or you that played bad. So it feels great when you win with a teammate, basically. Yeah.
Well, all the best to Alex and Tom then. They're in the ePremier League finals Saturday and Sunday. Now, if you're into that kind of thing, you can get involved and watch it. Twitch at Watford Official, and obviously the regular updates are going to be on Twitter as well. So no Watford Premier League action this weekend, but you can certainly get involved with the ePremier League finals. Season ticket renewals, yes, it's that time of season already for 22-23. Get more details by going to the website watfordfc.com. And don't forget, if you're one of our junior Hornets or you're a younger fan who's watching the show tonight, make sure you go to juniorhornets.watfordfc.com. Get yourself all signed up. We saw the vlog the other day from the away day trips. You can get yourself involved on them. Lots of giveaways, chance for you to be a mascot as well. So go to the website and get yourself signed up for that. So, it's great to have Ray Lewington on the show with us today. Ray, we want to touch now on your time here as Watford as manager, the first time round. And we've touched on it already, a bit of a tumultuous period, but you come in and you steadied the ship. Do you kind of look back on that now with some fondness? Because you had some great success with those semi-finals and what you managed to achieve under the circumstances. Yeah,
they were really, I really enjoyed them. And, you know, it was a strange period because no one actually knew. I mean, Luca Vialli had come in with Ray Wilkins, who was my best mate. I was manager of Brentford at the time and wanted to get out of there. And Ray said, look, if you want the reserve job, you can have it. So I said, yeah, I'll have the reserve job. So left Brentford and come over here. And it was on the up. Everyone was getting excited. There was money going to be put in. And Luca himself was very charismatic, you know, really nice man. Brilliant. So I thought I joined what was going to be, you know, a fantastic period in Watford's history, and of course it all went the other way for whatever reason. And as football does, you know, this is what makes it so interesting. Just you know, the script is torn up, and when I took over, I didn't realise how bad the situation it was, and I really didn't know in the whole period. The chairman at the time, Graham Simpson, let me know what he thought I needed to know. He obviously told me that there was, you know, were severe problems and we're going to have to make cuts, but he didn't go into specifics and everything. And basically, he just said, get on with the job. And that's what I did. So you try to put all that stuff away, but it was obvious that, you know, if anyone come in for a player, they went. There weren't any signings, you couldn't bring anyone in. So we really had to get on with what we got. But I was happy to do that, you know, I was happy to do that, and we didn't do too badly. So I look back on it with a lot of fondness, yeah.
We've got a little bit of a blast from the past for you now. So obviously media these days, there's cameras everywhere, there's videos everywhere, but you were involved with a little bit of filming back in your time in managers. So we're going to take a little look at this now. This was filmed, it's a day in the life of Ray Lewington.
Uh-huh.
I don't do the subs. The team is always picked the day before, sometimes even 2 days before. If we can do it on a Thursday for a Saturday game, where there's no injury doubts and we're clear on what we want to do, then we will do team play on a Thursday.
Go, Paul! Crosses, let's miss that first man out. Be bold. You know, I'd rather see you be bold and it goes out of play than to hit the first man. Now, if you're trying to get someone, fine, I'll accept that. But there's very few occasions. I think we've had 6 or 7 chances, or we've put 6 or 7 near post ones in. Sorry, it's a bit. Dave, I do understand that, but you know, as long as we get the principle that we're going to put a lot on it, you know, now we still need them near post runs because we got both. But you know, a lot of them are being cut out. When we get it, let's get it wide as soon as we can. When we go wide, we always look as like we're going to create something. Bruce, keep covering Newman. You know, when it builds up on the right, get across him. You know, hold him off. You know, you'll get some fouls back as well. And everyone, you know, when it's going into H, get round that ball. Ashley! Gavin! Fantastic, eh? Brilliant, you two!
So we've been really pleased. It's been a tough season for the lads for lots of different reasons, but the one thing I've been pleased with is that we've never showed a lack of character. We've kept going. There's only a couple of games where I've been slightly disappointed in the attitude, but most of the time they've been spot on. And if we've been beaten, we've mostly been beaten because we weren't the better side, and not because our attitude was bad.
A great little blast from the past there. Watching that, obviously, I think it was Ashley Young that scored that goal, and just looking around the dressing room there were some players that you picked out. So some fond memories of the players that were here at that time as well.
Yeah, I mean, Hyder Helgeson is, I've got two favourite players that I've coached in my career, and Hyder's one. The other one's a lad called David Hopkin who used to play for Crystal Palace, but Hyder in particular, absolute dream lad to coach, brilliant character, 100%er, you know, always, you could always rely on him.
Everything about H is a dream.
He's just a wonderful, he's just lovely to be around, you know. He's one of them characters that you love being around, don't you? And but there were some good faces there, yeah, that I've completely. Paul Devlin, completely forgot about Paul. Yeah, there was some decent players, decent players.
And obviously circumstances where, you know, you had to blood younger players. Obviously players like Ashley Young came into there, and there were several others as well. How special were those talents that you got to work with at that point?
Ashley was the real one. Ashley was. I remember Nigel Gibbs kept saying to me, "Listen, you're going to have to put him in soon." And he, you know, the trouble with Ashley was such a, you know, thin lad. And he looked almost in his kit. It almost looked like it was, you know, sort of miles too big for him. But the boy was a wonderful player and turned out to be a brilliant player. So yeah, there were some great lads there, really good lads.
And of course, some of those players as well, Tommy, were at the club as well towards the end of your time here at Watford. Yeah,
probably half of that dressing room that Ray had. I left in 2001 when Vialli came in. So I loved him as a player. He's not my favourite person because he made me leave the place. But it's one of those where a lot of the lads stayed because of those circumstances.
Yeah.
And Micah, H, and other players in and around. And obviously Devs as well. I played with at Birmingham the year before that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the club moves on, and I think as a player, a manager, or a coach, you deal with the circumstances that you've got at that time, don't you? But there's some great personalities at the club at the time.
There was. Yeah.
I think a lot of fans would look back on that period and the job that you did. You know, it was a very difficult job that you had to do, and the success you brought in that period with the cup semi-finals and the positions you kind of finished in the table. You know, I think the fans are incredibly grateful for how you managed to steady that ship. Is that period something you look back now in hindsight and kind of look at that period in your career as considering the resources and the situation you're under that, you know, you love and you cherish and were incredibly proud of what you managed to do?
Yeah, I mean, it was good, but you know, don't want to sort of go on about it, but you know, at the end of the day, it's just your job, you know, and you don't think about the circumstances while you're in the middle of it. You just get on with it, and it's only when you look back you think, I did all right there, you know. But at the time, you're just getting on with things, and I had a good staff around me. We kept it going. I thought it was good on the coaching pitch. You know, every Monday to Friday, I knew was good. The Terry Burton, you know, just seeing him there. Terry was an excellent coach, and you know, the both of us did that Monday to Friday. So you know, that was enjoyable, and so the circumstances that are surrounding the club, you put to your back of your mind. As long as you could go in, coach the players, put up good performances on the Saturday, that's really all you needed. So yeah, it was, but you know, that's your job. That's, you know, and that's a job that a lot of people would like to do. Let's face it. You know, it's not when you see what's going on in the world at the moment, being a football manager is pretty good.
Something me and Tommy were talking about before you came into the studio a little bit earlier on was your kind of management career and your coaching career. You've kind of almost coached over 2 or 3 generations of footballer from your time when here as manager and now as assistant, and obviously from coming from player manager. How much has the game changed in that period, and how much has your role as a manager and a coach changed?
Well, the game has changed enormously. You know, we were talking prior to coming on air. You know, when I played, coming into management, I remember I was a player manager. When I was playing, most teams in the country at any level were 4-4-2. Very few played anything different. We had a spell where 4-3-3 came in after the World Cup, but basically it was most teams were 4-4-2. So the tactical stuff that you do now in the job, because we play against all different systems. And what the hardest systems are to play against are the ones where they have half and half positions. You hear this false 9 and things like that. It sounds all complicated, but it's very simple, but it's hard to play against because people no longer just stay in one position. They float around into little corridors. So who's going to pick him up? If he goes there, whose job's going to be to pick him up then? If he comes central, who's takes care of him then? All these got to be done, and that's only one position. You've got other positions to do. So the game has changed enormously with these half and half positions and half and half systems that are very difficult to nail down. So tactical side is very different. Obviously, the influx of a lot of players from abroad makes the mentality different. They're not as excitable as British players. They're more laid back, but they're technically very good.
Does that make a difference when you're coaching them though, Ray? The fact that you have to adapt to their differences in personalities?
Yeah, I think.
Because old school, you generally had 15 players that were pretty much the same.
Absolutely. And you do have to make allowances because they're not going to, you know, the British boys years back, you know one thing that they would be running through brick walls for you. But on the technical side, we probably weren't as good as the foreign boys, where they come in and show you how to be a little bit more gentle with the ball, etc., etc. So things have changed enormously, and off the pitch, obviously, as well. I mean, now they're playing on billiard tables. I mean, particularly this place. I mean, Vicarage Road's pitch is incredible. I mean, that's as good as a pitch I've ever seen. But players are used to playing on billiard tables. You know, they don't have the mud and they don't have the... So, which was a factor in our football when we were playing, because you used to have a great big middle track of no grass, balls bobbling about everywhere. So that's why the long ball came into game, because, you know, it was too risky to play at the back. So you hit it long and played on from there, pushed in, played on for there. So lots and lots of things have changed in the game. The character of the players have changed. And there's not too much in common, except it's still a game of football. You know, it's still a game of football, and it's still a brilliant game, whichever way you play it.
Certainly is. Well, let's turn our attention then to the job in hand that obviously yourself and Roy are dealing with at the moment. We can look at the fixtures, of course, that we've got between now and the end of the season. Now, as a fan, I kind of sit here and go, well, you might get 3 points from that one. There's a point maybe in that one, another 3 from that one, and you kind of try and do some maths in your head. Tommy, we've spoken about this before. You don't play that maths game like I do.
No, I don't. I wish I did. I wish I could do it like that. I tend to think that, you know, until we get above or level on points with other teams, there's no point in worrying about what everybody else does. I think you just concentrate on yourself. Focus on individual games, because like Ray says, the preparation for every game is so different. And then the old adage is one game at a time. It is almost like that every week, except that you could have 2 games in a week. There's big games against some big teams, but we've got 4 home games, and if we turn around that home form, bring the performances and the results from away from home to Vicarage Road, then we give ourselves a great chance.
How much of an advantage or disadvantage is it playing teams that are around you? Obviously, that Everton game could well turn into a massive cup final of a game almost. Is that something that comes into the mindset with fixtures like that?
Well, all it does, it just heightens the importance of the game. You know, we got 4 cup finals at home, and you know, a home record that's not good at all. But that can easily be changed. You know, with 1 win, we get the first win. That can easily be changed. The teams are just above us. We know they're beatable. They know they can beat us as well. But you've got to back yourself to go out. The away games are difficult. You know, you can't hide behind that. We're playing the top 3 away from home. So what we've got to make sure is that these home games are the ones where we are absolutely fully focused, because these are going to really decide whether we're going to stay up or go down. So you can't get more important than that. They're going to be nervous type of games, but they'll feel the opposition will feel it as well. I mean, Leeds, Everton, Burnley, and I'm going to put Brentford in there. You know, they're still not out of it, and them 4 have all got to come. If we can beat them, then who knows?
You mentioned, of course, that the fan support earlier on in the show. How important is that going to be to help create that atmosphere here at Vicarage Road for those games?
It's going to be massive. Listen, it's very hard supporting a side who don't win at home. It really is tough, and it's tough for us to say, look, get behind us when, you know, quite frankly, the performances have not been great. But our season is going to be decided on these next games, so we got to turn them into cup finals. We really have, and I've got no doubt that the supporters will get behind us. They need to see that the players are tuning in and playing as a team. You know, they deserve something back, not just a question of them blind faith turning up making a lot of noise. The players have got to show that they're playing as a team and everyone's playing for each other. And if we can get the two married together with the performance and the crowd behind us, who knows? We got a chance.
There were lots of happy faces on the road at St Mary's the other week, so fingers crossed that will be brought back to Vicarage Road for those upcoming games. Right, final part of the show, the moment I know you've been looking forward to. Just 1 point to beat, and then of course...
There might be 1 point too many.
We'll see how we get on.
It won't, Ray. You're all right.
This is the level of the questions for you. Obviously,
Okay.
Tommy's question one was about the dimples on a golf ball. Your question one is, your professional career began at which London club where you made over 80 appearances?
He's even give you a London club as well. It's not like...
Chelsea.
Correct, 1 point on the board.
Thank
Level
you
already.
very much.
Level already.
Oh, I like this type of question, yeah.
In 1979, you played in the Soccer Bowl for the Vancouver Whitecaps. You won 2-1, but who was the game against?
Tampa Bay.
Correct, 2 points.
Yeah, I like this. Is a good competition.
It's a joke. Absolute joke.
Question number 2. In 1986, you become player manager of Fulham. You were the youngest manager in the Football League at the time, but how old were you?
29.
Correct. 3 out of 3. Question 4. Ben Foster. You and Roy gave Ben his first World Cup start. It was a 0-0 draw in the 2014 World Cup. Who was it against?
Don't panic. Ben wouldn't know either.
Costa Rica.
Correct. 4 out of 4. We're going to play the 5th question because I think it's a good question. And basically, I'm going to give Tommy something that is a numerical answer, and you have to go higher or lower.
Right.
Tommy, don't panic. I'm not going to ask you distances this time, but in 2003, Ray took Watford all the way to the FA Cup semi-final. It was at Villa Park. What was the attendance for that fixture? It's not too bad. You should know the capacity at Villa Park.
Yeah, I'm going to say 44,333.
44,333. Higher or lower, Ray?
I'm going higher.
Gone higher. It was 42,602, which means, Tommy, you clawed a point back.
Well done, Tom.
4-2, final
Thanks,
score.
Ray.
Not bad. Good effort. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Another defeat for Tommy.
I think you're slightly biased, the questions.
The best questions. And we finish the show with the best questions, the ones from the fans. So thank you very much to all of you who've sent a question in so far this evening. The first one comes from Rob. The win away at Bramall Lane during the week of the 12.5% pay cut is still one of my favourite away wins. What did you say to the team to inspire such a great performance?
I can't remember, but it was a fantastic day. It's one of them days that actually the fans and the players did come together, because the players had made the gesture of taking the pay cut, which was fantastic. And that day, we wasn't sure how it had been received. It made the papers, but we didn't know. But the reception that the players got when they went out to warm up was just knocked you back. I mean, it was fantastic. And Sheffield United were riding high that day, and we beat them. And you just knew we were going to win because the atmosphere was so fantastic. So we had an unbelievably fantastic day there.
Next question comes from Neil. We've seen from clips of training you're very hands-on. Do you still get lots of satisfaction from the coaching role? And how do you and Roy split your duties?
Coaching for me is everything. I'm much happier coaching than managing. Roy is exactly the same. I mean, he's a coach first and a manager second in his priorities, and he's an excellent coach. Roy does the bulk of it. He likes to do the main ones. I do the ones on the side that lead into the session. But we split them, and I do the video work, and Roy doesn't get too much involved in that. So we split the job between us, but you know, Roy's the governor. He's the one that dictates, and it's a good partnership. It's a very good partnership.
Next question comes from HJ. Thank you very much for your question. How do you turn the away form, which we're very suited to a counter-attacking team, into a team who are on the front foot as a home team?
Well, we just keep going and we keep showing what can be done. You know, we keep reverting back to the last game, but we were on the front foot. We can do that at home as long as they play together. You can't press if you're wide apart. If we can get them together and they can be disciplined to be together, then we can be far more compact. We can press a little bit more. We can get on the front foot and we can get into their final third a lot more than we're doing. That's what we got to do. But you can't do that unless you get the first thing. And that's what we got to get. That's the key. But they've seen that they can do it at Southampton. So, you know, the next home game is going to be really interesting to see if we can continue with that.
Tommy, did you ever find that as a player that kind of maybe the style of play you would play away from home is different to how you play at home? And how did you adapt to that as a kind of player?
Yeah, I think sometimes as a player you look at it as your preparation. So if you're trying to win a game at home and you're used to winning away from home, stay in a hotel the night before a home game. You know, it's as basic as that sometimes. Yeah. It's just about shocking your mentality and your routine into a change. And predominantly you do that on the training ground. I jest about a hotel, but you do that on the training ground by listening to your coaches and your manager on how that specific strategy is for that game to win that one game against the way that the opposition play. Because like Ray says, every team in the Premier League, almost to a man, is different.
Yeah.
They have a different structure, strategy, shape, call it what you want. Every team is different and you have to adapt to that. Playing at home is no different to playing away. You're still playing against the opposition and in 11 players at a time, but there's ways around doing things that you have to work out on the training ground.
I think one more thing, just adding to that, which is a very obvious thing, it would be nice to score first at home. You know, that would do it. We you know, in the games we've had, we've gone behind. It would be nice to start quickly and get ourselves in front. And that would be another tester for us, because we don't want to panic and start sitting back then, but that would be a good start if we could score first.
Yeah, certainly would. Next question comes from Simon. Are there any players that you've seen in our youth ranks that have particularly impressed you so far? And how difficult is it to bridge the gap between academy and first team football in the current climate and the current way the game is?
Well, it's particularly hard in Watford's situation, you know, because you can't. Well, you can throw young kids in, but it's hard enough for the season pros, let alone this. I mean, it's, you know, it's nerve-wracking, you know. It is going in, you know. There's a lot at stake. The kids that have come up, and we've seen James come up, and there's 3 or 4 others. They come up, they look good players, but you know, at the moment, I've never seen them play. I'll see James tomorrow. So he's playing tomorrow. But it'd be interesting to see him. But we're so fixed on what we're doing at the moment that all that's to the side. So, sure. But there are some good kids. There's no doubt about that.
Final question comes from Andy. What's the toughest team you've come up against during your entire career as a coach or manager?
Toughest team? There's been a few. I mean, in terms of how good they are, Man City, I think, are probably the best club side I've ever seen. They're just. But you've got to say, in terms of toughness playing against, I mean, the coming fixture we got, Liverpool at Anfield, is one of the toughest fixtures anyway. But their current side is incredible. So there's load of tough guys. To try and pick one out is one above the other. Even teams in the bottom half can be, on their day, they can be as tough as any other team. You know, it's so they're all tough. You got to beat all of them.
Certainly have. Ray, thank you so much for your time tonight and coming in. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
It's been great to have on the show. Tommy, thank you to you as always. We'll do it again next week. A massive thank you to you as well at home. Thank you so much for sending your questions in. Thank you very much for getting involved. It's a pleasure to have you every week. Ray has added his signature to our ball as well. It's filling up nicely with all the guests that have been on the show. And of course, at the end of the season, one of you lucky viewers is going to get your hands on this as well. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.